Hi, I'm April Connor, and this is Divine Conversations. Some of the most profound wisdom and insights that I've experienced in my life have come through divine conversations, through what seemed like mundane conversations. I live for these conversations and the openness and the experience of connection with another person. And so this is one of them. My friend David Washington and I were just talking about fear and thought we'd invite you in to join us in this conversation. So David, my idea about fear is that all of life is inviting us to remember the truth of who we are. And that includes fear, most particularly fear these days, because there seems to be so much of it in so many different ways.
Yep. Yeah, definitely. And I experience fear a lot and, various ranges of it. And the funny thing about fear is that it's somewhat binary. It's on and off. And I guess in some ways it always starts with self-preservation, and sometimes it takes a while for my frontal lobe to kick in and say, this is not life-threatening. But that first gut feeling of, oh my God, whether it's my partner saying, let's have a talk, and my gut goes, oh my God, or the car takes a second too long to start. None of those are life-threatening, but the feeling initially is the same. And and I think most of us have learned to manage that on a daily basis, but there's a lot of times when it goes by unconsciously, like when I'm watching the news.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And for me, that tendency to run away from it, to escape from it, doesn't serve me. I feel like that the car not taking a little bit too long to start, or me stubbing my toe, or waking up with a pain, those things pass. And those, like you were saying, but for me, the idea that I can't acknowledge the pain or not, or the fear, in that it's something that I resist. What do you think?
I think that the acknowledging it is really, really important. Um, I'm told men tend to not want to express fear or sadness, and women anger. But I'm getting off topic. But for fear, it's the important thing is with any of the emotions to identify it and own it and say, hey, this is what I'm feeling. So I was using a method back along the way, and I still do actually. And basically, it's a full quarter. It's called 4 quarters, and it's mad, sad, glad, and afraid. And when something comes up and I'm feeling that visceral reaction, I ask myself, which one of these or which combination of them am I feeling? And then it gives me something to work with, if for no other reason than it slows me down to not react to what I'm feeling. But in the few moments it takes to identify it, I can ask myself, is there really anything else, something to be afraid of here? Is there a real threat here? Or is it just a reaction? Is it something out of my past that I always react to? Is it new? Is it really a threat?
Right.
But by identifying it, it gives me the moment I need to identify it and and deal with it rather than just react.
And yet not choosing not to live in it, not to dwell in that space either. Um, I really believe strongly that we don't, it's not beneficial to just deny that we're having fear or pain or any of those other um, emotions, but to acknowledge it and then move through it. Let it move through us, um, as Michael Singer is known to say.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, and letting it move through me, uh, obvious, yeah, it's definitely an important piece. And to live with it, for me, doesn't mean uh, living with it every second. So that um, I'm constantly living with fear every second is called worry. And
yeah,
worry doesn't really accomplish anything. And if I'm working with a situation that's unfolding, that has ramifications or trails off into the future, obviously I want to track the circumstance, the situation, see how it's going, um, and acknowledge all the possibilities of how that may work out. Some of them might be outcomes that I don't want, and
right.
subsequently I feel somewhat fearful about them. But there's a place that we can go to, that I choose to go to, that just says, you know what, I can't worry about the outcomes. I can name them, and when they come up again for review, review them again. And it's like the game's not over till the game's over, you know. And
Absolutely.
I genuinely believe the fear of the outcome is often worse than the outcome itself.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so how many times have we imagined some big, vast dragon in front of us and it never turns out to be anything? Um, yeah. I've been playing with the concept that, our mind was created to um, look out for the saber-tooth tiger, right?
Mhm.
It was designed to keep us safe. And so in this time and space that we're in now, there's not a lot of saber-tooth tigers. There's not a lot of real danger, but your mind is still creating it for you and still looking out for those possible, I mean, trips and falls and failures and backstabbing events, because those are now our big saber-tooth tigers. Um, and and in reality, the majority of the time, my mind is playing tricks on me, and none of it is freaking real.
Right, right. It's not a real threat, and this aspect of mind, our minds, defines things in terms of mortal threat. And it takes a while to say, wait a second, that's not really a mortal threat. It's annoying, and maybe it will affect my livelihood or what have you down the road. But um, to this level of anxiety and fear is not uh, appropriate. That's not quite the right word, but it's more than what this real situation calls for.
Yeah.
And 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 I can ask myself what what is the fact here? What is the reality? So as as a practicing metaphysician, I ask myself, so what's the truth about this? The uh, whatever's going on in the circumstances, they'll work out one way
Mhm.
or another, and I put a blessing into those circumstances, and I know a blessing is going to come out of it. So just as a practice, so I
Yeah.
don't have to be afraid. I don't have to be afraid. And if indeed, for whatever reason, the worst case scenario shows up, I'll deal with it then.
Right.
You know.
Yeah, um where is it that some movie, I've heard it another place as well, but it says I worry just makes you doubles the effort or something like that. I mean, worrying ahead of time is just doubles the effort. So why not just deal with the situation in front of you?
Yes, yes. And in some ways, worry is a habitual state of mind.
Hmm.
Um, in some ways, I think we've been taught that that's the way we're supposed to be. And it takes some real effort and discipline and practice to get out of um, that mindset, to break that habit, just the way, whether your habit is ice cream or chocolate or what have you, it takes effort and repetition to get out of that habit. And what has worked for me in certain ways is to refocus my mind on something in the current moment, like beauty. Look
Hmm.
for me to look for beauty in the um, environment where I am at that particular moment. And there's always something, even in
Absolutely.
the so-called ugly places. There's beauty there for if the eye wishes to see it.
Hmm.
And it's just redirecting my mind so that um, if I'm in the present moment, I'm connected to reality, or the reality of spirit, the reality of God, because God's in the present moment, right? And
Yes.
and all of a sudden I'm back at Cinta. Woohoo! Great.
Yeah, I frequently will look up at the sky
Mm-hmm.
because I can always find beauty in the sky. Um, a friend of ours talked about just looking up to the corner of the room if you're not outside, and looking up itself gives you a different perspective.
Yeah, yeah. The beauty is there if I wish to find it.
Hmm.
In the shape of the chair, in the feel of the cloth, in the scent of the air,
Yeah,
in the shades of the light. And it doesn't matter what the light's falling upon. It's just about the shades of the light. And
absolutely.
I'm a space cadet, but you know what? I'm not fearful.
I think that that's the thing, though. I mean, you know me, and I'm all about the gratitude, and but it is also is a bit of awe and wonder in it. You know, the 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 depth of the green of the plant in front of me, or how the light is shining on. I don't know. I mean, everything has that sense of awe and wonder, and for me, that is the essence of being alive. When I can open up to those things, um, it does it shifts everything.
Yes. The depth and vitality, the magnitude of life when I is incredible. And it's an awe-inspiring experience when I stop and just allow myself to experience it.
Yeah,
And in the reality that's present in that present moment. It's
absolutely.
pretty awesome. Pretty awesome.